How you doing, guys? Alright, sorry I'm a little late on getting this out, but better late than never. Still good and useful for the weekend round. Expert revised guide for the Club Oceania tournament. Um, this is not by any means the only way to play these holes. This is the way I will play them for the safest, best score I can get. There's a couple shots in here, particularly hole 9, that if I feel is worth the risk come weekend and come the score outcome we may go for, but this is the general plan. Hole 1. Um, Driver here, I take Thor Hammer, but a nice Apocalypse or high level extra mile will work just fine for this. I prefer a power 4 ball. A 4 topspin, 3 right spin, and you'll need just a little bit of overpower to get this shot to land about there, center fairway. That should just bump the rough, come out, and give you a wedge shot. It is a tricky wedge shot, but when I go for going in the green, I go long more often than I get anywhere close to being near the pin. And that can land in being in the rough. And I would prefer just consistently taking this wedge shot. If you keep doing it, you will get your adjustment close at the very least. The adjustment really, if you bring a rapier, which is what I suggest here, rapier or a very high level firefly, something with a lot of ball guide so you can get a good run on the ball and reduce the amount of wind you need to play. You'll have your best chance of getting that shot to sink. Hole 2, the way I play this is, again, Thor Hammer, but basically any driver will work here as long as you got a decent amount of topspin on it. I aim pretty much center of that fairway. The key is I watch my ball guide. I do full top or, around 5 bars. It might not be full, but high amount of topspin. And I like my ball to be bumping the rough about where that blue dot is there. That'll slow that ball down and leave you with a sniper shot for the rough bump. And that is what I prefer, just because that is what I'm most comfortable with. And additionally, the shot from that line is almost perfectly sidewind, so it's very nice. The way to hit this sniper shot, to get it to be successful, find your spot, place your shot with 1 backspin and 1 right spin. And then have your ball guide running through the hole. It's going to look long, but don't worry about that. Once you have your spot, move 1 ring forward, then make your wind adjustment. And you will be pretty much spot on. I would go with about a 5% over adjustment. So just a tiny touch of over adjust. You don't even have to actually calculate the 5%. You can just do you'll probably be about mid here. So do your mid adjustment and then just pull back, a little bit, like a quarter of a ring or so, just a tiny bit. And that should set you up well. Hole 3, nothing has changed here. I like the second hill on the left side. With this shot, it's going to be approximately 4 bars backspin, 1 to 2 bars left spin. And watch your ball guide. You want that ball guide to look as though it's going just a bit long on the second bounce of that last hill. If it looks to be going a little long, it will actually hit it. And that bounce will slow you down with the backspin, and you will roll very close to the cup, maybe have a chance to drop it. Pretty straightforward shot. The adjustment there is going to be with a sniper oceanic combo, you will likely be at very close to max, mid to max. So keep that in mind when you're making your adjustment. I would check and see where your max lines up, because depending on your level of sniper, it'll change. If you are mid, keep that in mind because this hole plays true. Hole 4, we are most certainly going with the aggressive route. The wind is definitely calling for it, and if you don't, you will be at a much harder chance to keep pace with the rest of the group in the tournament. I prefer Thor Hammer here, but again, Any good distance driver with a lot of topspin will do the job. You can even bring a big topper here if you prefer. I just prefer better accuracy. And, I have 60 something topspin with a Thor hammer, so it's significant. It's definitely not lacking. It's not quite going to get you as close as the big topper will, but I will more consistently hit it where I want. I prefer power 4 ball here, just to not have to fully max overpower. With a power 4 ball, you could probably get away with about 75% overpower, which is going to lean to more consistently hitting perfect on that drive. It is full top spin and a couple bars of left spin, 2 to 3. It's not super important how much. You just want to put a little bit on there because we're going to curl it right, and you want the spin to counter the curl so that you don't roll right into the rough over there. So that's the idea. Don't put too much because it'll take away topspin, and you definitely want all of your topspin that you have available. That'll leave you with, if hit well, it'll leave you with a nice thorn shot. This should be about a mid-distance thorn. I like going with the 2 backspin approach. That way you can just kind of run your ball guide to the cup. The backspin shot can be played here. You will have the distance for it, but I feel like the consistency of the roll to the green is pretty nice here. So I feel this head-on shot is nice. If you'd like, you can bring a Hornet. The accuracy definitely will do you justice here. I just prefer making my wind adjustments with the Thorn in this particular situation. So that's why I select Thorn. Hole 5, you can bring any long iron you'd like here, whatever you feel is your best opportunity. I have Max Saturn, which is the best ball guide out of all my clubs. So that is the reason I chose it. Since we have tailwind, you do not have to worry about the distance. If we had headwind, I remember. I'm actually thinking. See, now I can't remember if that's pro or expert. That's my fault. I'm pretty sure it's tailwind on this one, which is why we can bring the Saturn. Because headwind, you might have to adjust into the overpower range, and that makes it hard. So I'm 99% sure this is tailwind here. We go about 2 3/4 backspin, maybe 3, depending. If you bring a wind 5 ball, which I plan on doing, you may want the 275, because your wind's going to be slowed down, so you won't need quite as much backspin. Whereas if you bring something like a navigator, because you're low on balls, and you only have the wind 2, the 3 backspin will be needed because that extra tailwind will push you forward. The key here is aim right of the pin. It's not a super large amount right, it's just a little bit right, and you'll notice with about 1 bar right spin, the guide will go directly to the cup. It's a pretty consistent way to get an accurate line at the cup. And remember that your wind plays about an extra 20% here due to the downhill, and there is a cliff right at the edge, which is what increases that from a normal like 10-ish% to 20. So extra adjustment on your wind adjustment. Hole 6. There's really a multitude of ways to play this, but this is the way I like. Full overpower with a Kingmaker, and I aim to be hitting where the target's showing right now. That's not where you're actually going to put your target, but that's where you want to land. Full top spin, 3 left spin, and a bit of left curl. And with the way the wind's blowing in every situation, that should run you pretty darn close up to the end of the fairway there with a perfect shot, which will give you a very nice thorn shot, which this I just suggest do what you are most comfortable with. You can do the thorn rough bump with a bar or 2 of topspin, or you can do the full backspin shot. There's plenty of green room to do both. So whatever you are more comfortable with, go with. I go with the backspin shot. So obviously full backspin. Whenever I'm doing my backspin shot, I try to do no side spin, or maybe half a bar to a bar of side spin in the direction of the wind. to keep the bounce going straight. But typically, I try to go no backspin, or I'm sorry, no side spin, to make it a little more easy to predict where your ball is actually going to end up rolling. Hole 7. This is one that many people dislike. I suggest the Thor hammer or Max Rocket will work just as well. Best wind resistance ball you have. And we're going to bounce off that very last fairway with, it's about 6 bars backspin here. You don't need the full backspin on this one, but you do need at least about 6. The headwind will assist your ball in slowing down. So we don't need as much backspin as we did in the last tournament. However, you do still need a pretty significant amount. Otherwise, it's the same style approach. 6 backspin, 3-ish left spin, slight bit left curl. Should give you a decent shot at getting there. Just remember to keep in mind where you are in terms of mid, max, and min. Here, it is very important. And adjust an extra 10% on that. And you should be in pretty good shape. Hole 8, another one that this one you really can take the risk. In expert, we have right to left tailwind, which is the direction you do want for getting to either the green or the fairway at the very least in front of the green. There's a few ways to play that. All of them will involve full overpower and a good amount of curl. But depending on whether you want to try to end short or you want to actually make it to the green is going to determine your top spin and how much side spin you use. If you like to end short, it's going to be full backspin and preferably probably a little bit of right spin with the way we're curling and the way the wind's blowing. But the way I'm going to suggest playing this hole is the safe route. There is still a very good chance at eagle. Any driver will work for this shot, whatever you are most comfortable with, because you don't need to go far. We want to land our ball, we want to end our ball, our drive, just past that first shadow there. Because if you look at the line for that next shot, it's perfectly straight down the fairway. You're not shooting over the bunker. So that is the objective here. That is how you get the best shot at the pin. To do so, we need no topspin. No topspin, just a little bit of left spin, a little bit of left curl, and over adjust just the tiniest little bit with your wind. Just a tiny bit. It's about 5%. Just a little bit. We don't need to do it too much. Second shot, we'll leave you with a thorn shot. 1 to 2 bars backspin, and usually about 2 bars right spin. And you'll be about mid-distance here. So keep that in mind when you're making your adjustment. Pretty consistent shot. You will just have to find your sweet spot. Just make sure to bounce the fairway, not the fringe or the green. That is going to be your most consistent, most reliable way to get towards the cup. And hole 9. Again, I say we can play the aggressive route. Safe route is very smart to take on this run. This one, I believe, an expert. It's a little bit. I like a little backspin, a little right spin, or I'm sorry, a little left spin. Because with the wind is tail left to right, so that's that. Slow that ball down and make sure we don't go long. It is much safer here to go short and have a little bit longer of a sniper shot than to go long and be in the rough and really have a hard time being able to reach. So we go Thor hammer, Kingmaker. Kingmaker is to cut down the wind as much as we can and give us full access to spin, shall we need it, which we will on the second shot. Second shot will be sniper. I believe it's about 5 bars backspin. Aim just past, there's a bunch of bumping on this bunker. You want to aim just past that, which is why you will need so much backspin and as much less spin as you can put on. it's a difficult shot to hit, but you definitely can hit it. The albatross is still in play from there, which is why I suggest playing that one. If you really, really want to take the risk, you can drive over the water on the left-hand side with a power 4 or better ball. All you need is a power 3 if you happen to be playing with an APOC 5, where you even probably APOC 4, a little bit extra yard might do it, or an EM8. But it is very risky. If you hit great left or right, you can definitely end in the water. And even a perfect shot has a decent chance of ending up in this bunker up here, which you can still hit the albatross from there, but it's tricky. And the wind plays extra on that shot. So adjusting with a sand iron is not the easiest thing to do here. And the green and fairway and everything is very hilly and bumpy. And there's a lot of elevation play. So it's a very hard shot to get down exactly how you're trying to get down. So for that's why I suggest the sniper. That 100% accuracy shot is very advantageful on a hole like this. And since we can't go left, with the way the wind is, it's going to be very, very difficult at the very least to go left and play the island bounce. So that is why we are suggesting the safe route here. It should, at the very least, get you your eagle. Now, if you are really, really 100% sure you need that albatross to even get like a top 10, like you're struggling, you need that big score, maybe you whip out the berserker or an origin ball or something of that nature, and you go for it. At that point, it may be worth the risk, because if you can happen to get a little lucky and land fairway somewhere up here, you do have a much higher chance at albatross at that point. So that is it. That is the revised guide. This should get you at the bare minimum 24. Really should be looking at about a 26 here. You're going to want a 28 or better for sure in expert to be looking at a chance at top first. I really think minus 29, minus 30 is going to take most brackets. But 28 is definitely, I would say, a minimum goal to top 3. Like I said, you can get lucky. There's going to be 26s and 27s that'll get top 3, just depending on the bracket. But if you're trying to put it on an average, set yourself a goal to try and achieve a top 3, then you want to be looking at a 28. That is it, guys. Good luck. Comment how you did. Let me know if this works out for you. I'm curious to know how other people fare with this strategy. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you later.